Number 1. Become who you are. The whole of Nietzsche's project in 4 words. Not become who you should be. Not become who others need you to be. Become who you actually are. The person underneath the performance, the conditioning, the inherited values. It is the simplest and the hardest instruction ever given. Number 2. No one can build you the bridge on which you, and only you, must cross the river of life. Written in Schopenhauer as educator. A direct challenge to the habit of waiting for someone else, a teacher, a system, a relationship, to show you the way. The crossing is yours. The bridge is yours to build. Nobody can do it for you, and nobody who claims otherwise is telling you the truth. Number 3. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe, written long before social media existed. The pressure to conform, to adopt the group's values, the group's opinions, the group's version of who you should be, is one of the oldest and most persistent forces in human psychology. Nietzsche saw it clearly and named it without sentimentality. Number 4. In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. One of his most provocative sociological observations. The crowd does not think more clearly than the individual. It thinks less clearly, more emotionally, with less accountability. Every historical catastrophe has required a crowd to make it possible. Number 5. The secret for harvesting from existence, the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment, is to live dangerously. Not physically dangerous, psychologically dangerous. To choose the path that requires more of you than the comfortable alternative. To risk being wrong, being seen, being changed by what you encounter. The safe life and the full life are not the same life. Number 6. That which does not kill me makes me stronger. Perhaps his most quoted line, and one of his most misunderstood. It is not a promise that suffering always produces strength. It is a choice, a declaration of how to orient yourself toward difficulty. The person who decides that what didn't kill them made them stronger is making a different kind of person of themselves than the one who decides it simply damaged them. Number 7. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. This line connects directly to Frankl and Dostoevsky, both of whom Nietzsche preceded and influenced. Suffering is not optional. The meaning-making is. And that distinction, small as it sounds, is the difference between a life that the suffering destroys and one that it deepens. Number 8. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. From Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche's warning against the premature resolution of inner conflict. The chaos is not the problem. The chaos is the material. The person who has tidied themselves into complete order has also closed off the possibility of creating something extraordinary. Number 9. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. A precise observation about the social cost of genuine development. The person who grows beyond the expectations of their environment will be diminished by that environment, not because they are wrong, but because their growth makes others uncomfortable. Nietzsche didn't think this was a reason to stop growing. Number 10. I assess the power of a will by how much resistance, pain, torture it endures, and knows how to turn to its advantage. The will to power applied to adversity directly. Not how much pleasure you accumulate, but how much resistance you can convert into fuel. The measure of genuine strength is not what you achieve when conditions are favorable. It is what you produce when they are not. Number 11. The most common lie is that which one lies to oneself. The external deceptions we perform for others are usually visible to someone. The ones we perform for ourselves are invisible precisely to the person most damaged by them. Nietzsche considered self-deception the root of almost every other form of human failure. Number 12. All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. One of his most epistemologically radical claims. The story we tell about events, individually and collectively, is not a neutral recording of what happened. It is a construction shaped by who has the power to make their version stick. Understanding this does not produce cynicism. It produces clarity. Number 13. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Simple and devastating. The resistance to honest feedback, honest self-examination, honest assessment of a situation is not stupidity. It is the protection of a version of reality that is more comfortable than the true one. Nietzsche had little patience for this comfort and considerable understanding of why people chose it. Number 14. There are no facts, only interpretations. His most contested epistemological claim, and also one of his most useful. Not a license for relativism, but an invitation to examine the framework through which you are seeing. Every fact arrives in an interpretive context. Knowing that the context exists is the beginning of being able to examine it. Number 15. Convictions are more dangerous foes of truth than lies. A lie knows it is a lie. A conviction believes it is true, and that belief makes it immune to evidence. The person who is simply wrong can be corrected. The person who is convinced cannot be reached by the same methods. Nietzsche saw ideological certainty as one of the greatest dangers available to human beings. Number 16. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. The line that Frankl carried into Auschwitz and built an entire therapeutic framework around. Purpose as the primary human resource. Not comfort, not safety, not pleasure, but the sense that your existence is oriented toward something that makes the endurance of difficulty worth it. Number 17. Without music, life would be a mistake. One of his most personal lines. Nietzsche loved music with an intensity that bordered on the religious. His break with Wagner was one of the great philosophical falling outs in history, partly because it was also a personal heartbreak. This is not hyperbole. It is a genuine statement about what beauty does for a life that reason alone cannot provide. Number 18. We love life not because we are used to living, but because we are used to loving. A quietly radical reframe of why existence matters. Not habit or momentum or fear of death. Love, the capacity for genuine connection and care, as the actual engine of the will to live. Nietzsche, for all his reputation for coldness, understood this with unusual precision. Number 19. In every real man, a child is hidden that wants to play. The opposite of the last man, the reminder that genuine vitality has a quality of play in it. The person who has completely suppressed the capacity for playfulness in service of seriousness has also suppressed something essential. Zarathustra himself is described as needing to become as a child, not naive, but capable of genuine, unguarded engagement. Number 20. The secret of the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment of existence is to live dangerously. Revisited here because it bears emphasis. Comfort is the enemy of genuine aliveness, not because discomfort is good, but because the avoidance of all risk is the avoidance of everything that makes a life genuinely felt. Number 21. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. Not a celebration, an alarm, the collapse of the shared meaning framework that Western civilization had organized itself around for centuries, and the warning that what comes after, if nothing worthy fills the void, will be worse than what was lost. As relevant now as it was in 1882. Number 22. Morality is the herd instinct in the individual. His most provocative claim about conventional morality, that the values most people hold are not chosen, but absorbed from the group, and that they function primarily to maintain social conformity rather than to produce genuine human excellence. Not an argument against morality, but against unexamined morality. Number 23. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. A direct statement about intellectual conformity and its cost. The education that rewards agreement and punishes genuine inquiry produces exactly the kind of person Nietzsche most feared. The last man, comfortable in the herd, incapable of the dangerous thinking that anything genuinely new requires. Number 24. The higher the type, the more rarely a thing succeeds. A quietly important observation about excellence and frequency. Ordinary things happen all the time. Extraordinary things, extraordinary people, extraordinary works, extraordinary moments are rare by definition. The rarity is not a failure of the world. It is the nature of what extraordinary means. Number 25. Not necessity, not desire. No, the love of power is the demon of men, the will to power at its darkest. Not the self-overcoming version, but the domination version. The impulse to control others as a substitute for the harder work of controlling oneself. Nietzsche understood that the drive he was describing could go either way. The demon and the liberation are the same force pointed in different directions. Number 26. My formula for greatness in a human being is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Love of fate, the complete yes to your own existence, not despite its suffering and failure, but including them. Not tolerance, not acceptance. Love. The most demanding idea in his entire philosophy, and the one he considered the summit of what a human being could achieve. Number 27. You have your way. I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. His most direct statement of philosophical pluralism. Not relativism. He had strong views about what constituted genuine human excellence, but a recognition that the path to that excellence is not the same for every person. There is no single template. There is only the honest working out of your own. Number 28. What is great in man is that he is a bridge and not an end. From Zarathustra, the image of the human being as transition rather than destination, not a finished product, but a crossing point between what has been and what could be. The person who understands themselves as a bridge rather than an arrival lives differently, more urgently, more generously. Number 29. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. One of the most shared Nietzsche quotes, and for good reason. The person whose behavior makes no sense from the outside because the observer cannot hear what is driving it from the inside. A defense of inner life against external judgment. Of the private rhythm that the public eye cannot access. Number 30. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The closing quote, because it is the most complete image of everything Nietzsche believed about human potential. The chaos is not the enemy. The premature order is. The discomfort, the contradiction, the unresolved tension, all of it is material. The dancing star is what becomes possible when you stop trying to eliminate the chaos and start learning to work with it instead.